Hi and welcome to our second lesson on adding fractions. Today we will be looking at fractions with different denominators and how we can change one of them so that we can add them. Here we have a half plus a quarter. Unlike our previous lesson, the denominators in these two fractions are different, so we can't just simply add the numerators. This is because the fractions are different sizes. A half is bigger than a quarter. To be able to add them, the parts that they are divided into need to be the same size. In this example, we could change the half into quarters. Now all of the parts are the same size. We now have 2 quarters plus a quarter. The denominators are the same, they're 4, so the denominator in our answer will also be 4. Now we can simply add the numerators. 2 plus 1 equals 3. 2 quarters plus a quarter equals 3 quarters. So a half plus a quarter equals 3 quarters. We converted halves into quarters. We can do this using equivalent fractions. In order to be able to add fractions, the denominators must be the same. We can use our understanding of equivalent fractions to do this. Remember, to find equivalent fractions, we multiply or divide both the numerator and denominator by the same number. In most cases, you'll find that you need to multiply. For example, let's use the fractions that we previously discussed, a half plus a quarter. The denominators are different. We need to change them so that the denominators are the same. To do this, we look for the lowest common multiple. That's the smallest number that the denominators divide into. We'll look at 4. The smallest number that 4 can divide into is itself. Now we can check whether 2 can also divide into 4, which it can. So we will convert both fractions to quarters. A quarter already has a denominator of 4, so we don't need to change it. Now let's look at a half. If we start with the denominator, we can see how we get from 2 to 4. Remember, we can do this through either multiplication or division. To get from 2 to 4, we multiply by 2. With equivalent fractions, whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. We multiplied the denominator by 2, so we must also multiply the numerator by 2. 1 times 2 equals 2. Now that both fractions have the same denominator, we can easily add them. The denominators stay the same, so the denominator in our answer will be 4. Now we can add the numerators. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Our answer is 3 quarters. Here's another example. A half plus 3/8. We need the denominators to be the same so that we can add them. Let's look at the smallest number that they both divide into. 8 is the smallest number that 8 divides into. We can now check whether 2 also divides into 8, and it does. So our common denominator can be 8. Looking at the 3/8, it already has a denominator of 8, so we don't need to change it. Next, we'll look at the half. We changed from 2 to 8. How did we get from 2 to 8? We multiplied by 4. Whatever we do to the denominator, we must also do to the numerator. So we multiply 1 by 4. 1 times 4 equals 4. Now we have 4/8 plus 3/8, which we can easily add. We are now working with eighths. The denominator does not change, so our answer will have a denominator of 8. Now we can add the numerators. 4 plus 3 equals 7. Our answer is 7/8. Here we have a 12th plus 3/4. We need the denominators to be the same. Let's see if 4 divides into 12. Yes, 4 divides into 12 3 times. So 12 is the lowest common multiple. This means that it is the smallest number that they both divide into. So this is the denominator that we will use. A 12th already has a denominator of 12, so we don't need to change it. 3/4 has a denominator of 4, so we need to change it to twelfths. How do we get from 4 to 12? We multiply by 3. Because we multiplied the denominator by 3, we must also multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. Now we can add the fractions. The denominator will be 12. Now we add the numerators. 1 plus 9 equals 10. Our answer is 10/12. If you want to take it a step further, you could simplify it to 5/6 by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 2. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video and have a go. Question 1. A third plus 3/6. Looking at the denominators, we can see that 3 divides into 6, so 6 is our common denominator. Now for the numerators. If we look at 3/6, we can see that it already has a denominator of 6, so we don't need to change it. Now looking at a third, we see that to get from 3 to 6, we multiply by 2. So we need to do the same to the numerator. 1 times 2 equals 2. We now have 2/6 add 3/6. The denominator is 6. Now we add the numerators. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Our answer is 5/6. Question 2. 3/10 add 2/5. Looking at the denominators, we see that 5 divides into 10, so 10 can be our common denominator. If we look at 3/10, it already has a denominator of 10, so we don't need to change it. Now for 2/5. To get from 5 to 10, we multiply by 2. So we also multiply the numerator by 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. We now have 3/10 add 4/10. The denominator will be 10. Now we can add the numerators. 3 plus 4 equals 7. Our answer is 7/10. Question 3. 2/12 plus a third. Looking at the denominators, we can see that 3 divides into 12, so 12 is our common denominator. 2/12 already has a denominator of 12, so we can keep it the same. Looking at a third, to get from 3 to 12, we multiply by 4. So we also multiply the numerator by 4. 1 times 4 equals 4. Now we can add the fractions. The denominator is 12, 2 plus 4 equals 6. Our answer is 6/12. If you want to go one step further, 6/12 can be simplified to a half. Question 4. 3/5 add 3/15. Looking at the denominators, 5 divides into 15, so 15 can be our common denominator. 3/15 does not need to change, because it already has a denominator of 15. Looking at 3/5, to get from 5 to 15, we multiply by 3. So we also multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. Now we have 9/15 plus 3/15. The denominator is 15. Now we add the numerators. 9 plus 3 equals 12. Our answer is 12/15. Again, if you want to go one step further, 12/15 can be simplified to 4/5. Thank you for watching our video. Please have a go at the practice questions provided.